Good morning, everybody. We have another glorious day from the Lord. It's beautiful and sunny out, but for those of us who live in Florida, it's a little chilly. So we're going to do this recording inside. We have moved on from Mark and we are in Luke. This morning I'm going to read from you Luke 1 through 17. And let's get started because I feel like this is going to be a great word today. Inasmuch as many have undertaken to compile a narrative of the things that have been accomplished among us, just as those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word have delivered them to us. It seems good to me also, having followed all things closely for some time past, to write an orderly account for you, most excellent Theophilus, that you may have certainty concerning the things that you have been taught. In the days of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah of the division of Abijah, and he had a wife from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking blamelessly in all the commandments and statutes of the Lord. But they had no child because Elizabeth was barren, and both were advanced in years. Now, while he was serving as priest before God, when his division was on duty, according to the customs of the priesthood, he was chosen by lot to enter the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And the whole multitude of the people were praying outside at the hour of the incense. And there appeared to him the angel of the Lord, standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And Zechariah was troubled when he saw him, and fear fell upon him. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer has been heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. And many will rejoice at his birth, for he will be great before the Lord. And he must not drink wine or strong drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit, even from his mother's womb. And he will turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord their God. And he will go before him in the spirit and the power of Elijah, and turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready for the Lord a people prepared." So, wonderful news. This is wonderful news. This is the prophesying of John the Baptist. Both Zechariah and his wife were from the family line of Aaron, Moses' brother, through whom God had established the priesthood. And from the time of King David, the priests were organized into 24 divisions, and Abijah was one of the heads of fathers' houses. Just some background right there. From the time John was born, John the Baptizer, God's Spirit was within him to guide and empower him for God's service. You need the Holy Spirit for God's service. Notice the results of John's Spirit-filled life of ministry through the power of the Holy Spirit. His preaching exposes people's sins and convinces them to turn back to God. What a wonderful power. He preaches in the Spirit and the power of the prophet Elijah. He helps restore right relationships. Preaches from the Spirit and the power of the prophet Elijah. That's interesting. He helps restore right relationships in families and leads many people to do what is right by God's standards. That's wonderful. We all need to do what's right by God's standards because God is the only one who can judge us. The rest of the people in the world that you feel are judging you, their opinions don't matter. Only God's opinion matters of you. The liberal translation in Greek text here about the not drinking wine, he will never drink wine or strong drink. The Greek word used is fermented drink. Its exact meaning has not been determined, but is undoubtedly corresponds to the Old Testament word shekar. And of course, that would make him a Nazarene, because Nazarenes did not drink strong spirits or wines either. It was one of the things they never did. So interesting. In many ways, John would be like the fearless prophet of the Old Testament, Elijah. That's what the other reference meant. I couldn't figure that out, sorry. Because he is filled with the Holy Spirit. John's preaching would focus on revealing what is morally and spiritually right by God's standards. Again, God's standards, those are the ones we need to care about. He would challenge people to turn back toward a right relationship with God. As he preached about sin, people's offenses against God, and failure to live up to his standards on their own righteousness, being in a right relationship with God and doing what is right in God's standards and judgments that we are to accomplish, we are accountable to God, for what we do with our lives. He will turn the hearts of the disobedient to the wisdom of the just. That's something the Holy Spirit will do too. He will not compromise when he knows it's right, or bend the principles of God's words for the sake of status, popularity, or security. He will obey God and remain loyal to the truth. All of this says that John will be a man of God, a worthy example of God's character, power, and purpose, which is what we all want to be, a worthy example of God. I told you guys this was going to be a good word today. This is a great word today. This is also a hard word for some people. Even with the Holy Spirit, the flesh just wants to get into trouble. And you have to always stay on top of that. Pray for God's strength. Pray for God's grace. Pray for God's help. The Holy Spirit will help guide you through these things. I know. It has been several years of working to get where I am right now. And I still have to pray for the strength and the wisdom and the learning, the renew my mind, give me a heart like Jesus. And of course, I still want the baptism by fire of the Holy Spirit. I have the Holy Spirit living inside of me from being baptized in water. And this year, a lot of you know, I rededicated my life to the Lord and was baptized again this year. Just so I wasn't unclear about it, just to hold that frame of reference and to get to share that experience with the church that God moved me to join this year. I've never belonged to a church in my adult life. That was my choosing. I belonged to churches that my parents chose as a child, but as an adult, I never belonged to a church until now. And I chose this church because God chose it for me. He chose these people in this church, and they're perfect for me. Let God pick a church for you. Let him find you a home to worship him in, and people who can help you to grow and to learn. And always feel free to join me at my church, because these are some amazing people that I have been surrounded by. Amazing, and the thing that truly touches me is that they're familiar to me, but I don't know any of them. I didn't know them anyways when I walked in, but they're familiar to me. The pastor's a carpenter. I grew up on construction sites with my dad. I'm comfortable around those folks. I'm comfortable with people that work with their hands and work like my father and tease like my father. And, you know, it's amazing. My dad was a great guy, and I can't tell you how many people told me what a man of integrity he was, which I already knew that, but it was great to hear it from so many people at his funeral. My daddy was a good man. He was one of my many blessings from the Lord. So, sorry. Breaking up and getting off track. Anyways, find a good church. Read the Word. Ask God to renew your mind and your heart and your spirit and your soul and your body and your finances every day. Whatever it is you need from the Lord, He will bring it to you. I hope y'all have a blessed day. You know, y'all are such a blessing to me. And the Lord continues to bless me in ways that, you know, I do feel undeserving of sometimes, but He keeps blessing me. And I'm going to keep saying thank you because I'm grateful. Grateful for all of you. And I hope all of you have a wonderful day. And I will see you here tomorrow. Thanks.